But yeah, hey, thanks for joining me again. All right, let's walk through some more Fallout 4. And I know you're probably just dying to get out there in the wasteland to start shooting shit up. All right, but we can't go running out there brandishing a water pistol and carrying a full load in our diapers. We got to get ready. So let's get ready. Hopefully you leveled up as I have. Let's just take a little look-see here. Go into the perks chart, and indeed we have leveled up. This is choose one, so we can choose a perk. And I strongly recommend that you choose. Oh, first of all, let me just take a moment to explain my build here, okay? Back it up here. We'll go to status, special. I have strength at 3, perception at 9, endurance at 1, charisma at 1, intelligence at 7, agility at 7, and luck at 1. Alright, now let's go into the perk chart. Most of these are selected for, first of all, I want to bump up perception and agility as high as possible because they will work well for a stealth sniper. Perception, because it'll give you really high accuracy in VATS, and agility because it'll make you very sneaky. All right, now all the rest of my points were spent according to what perks I wanted available to me. All right, so I put strength up to 3 to get armorer available, so I can mod armor. That's very important on higher difficulty settings. And perception I maxed out as much as possible. I put it up to 9. I didn't put it at 10 because there are these collectibles in Fallout 4 known as bobbleheads. Alright, and there is a bobblehead dedicated to each attribute. Once you collect this particular bobblehead, for example, once you collect the perception bobblehead, it will bump up your perception by 1. So there's no point in putting any particular attribute up to 10 if you know you can easily acquire that bobblehead. Now a lot of these bobbleheads are deep in high level enemy territory, but the perception bobblehead is not, okay? It's actually easily acquired within the first, maybe the first hour of the game if you play really fast. Yeah, so I left perception at 9. We're going to get that bobblehead and bump it up to 10. Right, so back up to the top here. Endurance, I'm taking a chance here. No points in endurance. That means my health is going to be really low. But I'm playing as a glass cannon stealth sniper, so I don't really care that much. Charisma. There is one perk here that could be of interest to someone who plays without a companion. That's me. But I didn't really like any of the other perks here, Lady Killer or Cap Collector. So I left that one alone. Lone Wanderer. I didn't put any points to get up to there. And also, I'm just not really that interested in 15% damage resistance because on higher difficulty settings, it doesn't really make that much difference. Once you're in combat and once the enemy has got a beat on you and is shooting bullets at you, you're pretty much dead, you know. So you gotta, like as a stealth sniper, you gotta get them before they get you. So 15% damage resistance, bonus to that doesn't really interest me that much. Over to intelligence. Intelligence I bumped up to level 6. Alright, now you saw just in the previous video where we found this special book where you get a free point to add on to any attribute, and I added it on to intelligence to bump it up to level 7 so I can get the chemist perk, which makes my drugs, my chems, last 50% longer or twice as long, etc, etc. So I'm very interested in that because I take a lot of drugs while I'm playing this game. Don't misread that. Yeah, okay. And agility, I put it as high as I could with the remaining points. That's up to level 7, at least up to level 7, so I get the ninja perk, which gives you bonus damage when you're in sneak mode. These other 3 perks here, I wasn't really that much interested in. Reloading quicker or blitz. This is more for melee attacks. And gun fu. On the other hand, over here, back to perception, I am very interested in these top 2 perks, so this is another reason why I want to max out perception, okay? To get penetrator and concentrated fire. I'll explain about that later. And that's that. Finally, I have no luck. Okay? So that's my build. And we can spend 1 point. First perk you should get if you're going with this build, pretty much any build, is Gun Nut. Because Gun Nut will allow you to put the powerful receiver on any weapon, and the powerful receiver pretty much gives you a 50% bonus to your damage rating. Let's just check out the 10 mil pistol. You can see our damage is at 18. All right, now most weapons, I think if not all weapons, you put a powerful receiver, not laser weapons but all like standard bullet weapons, you could put a powerful receiver on. So go to the receiver, Go down to, there it is, powerful receiver right there. And see, you hover over that, you see our damage is up to 27. So you can see it gave us exactly a 50% damage bonus, right? So very important perk to have right at the beginning of the game. It's always the first perk I get, right? We'll get more into weapon modding a little later. For now, let's empty out our inventory. And any workstation shares the inventory of your workshop, so you can dump stuff into any workstation. Now you're going to see this happen occasionally. You're going to see me going over to the workshop to dump stuff in. I just do this because it feels intuitive. I know full well that I can use any perk station or any workstation perk station to dump stuff in, but you'll see me frequently going over to the workshop to dump stuff in. I just do that because it feels intuitive. Let's use the weapons workshop to empty out our inventory. Now you can go, here's your workshop, okay, that's where you store all your stuff, and here's your inventory or your backpack. You can scroll through all the different categories here to see what you've got. Okay, so let's go over to weapons. I'm going to save my 10 mil pistol ammo for a special weapon I'm going to get later on. Alright, now even though this is probably my best weapon right now and I've got a lot of ammo for it, I want to save it. Reason why is because the 10 mil pistol, even though it's a powerful weapon at this stage in the game, you can't do much with it. Alright, you can't put a bayonet on it, you can't put a scope on it, any decent scope, unless you have like pretty high gun nut rank. Okay, the recon scope, that's the best scope you can put on it, but you need gun nut up to rank 2 in order to get that, plus science at rank 1. Other than that, you can only put a reflex sight, and I can't stand those, or a glow sight, which is really that much, doesn't really make that much difference. So the 10 mil pistol, yeah, it's powerful, but I generally dump it at this stage of the game and save all my 10 mil ammo for later on. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right. So let's get out of here. Yeah, we're gonna use cheapo steampunk pipe guns. Talk about pipe guns in a minute. First of all, let's dump all these 10 mil pistols in. Dump those in. Keep the Molotov cocktails. We got 4 pipe pistols. We'll dump in 2 and we'll mod 2. Don't need the security baton anymore. Dump that in. Over to apparel. This is your armor and apparel. Okay. Now, hopefully, in your tour or sanctuary, you found something that has that gives you a bonus of 2 to your charisma. Okay, what I have is the checkered shirt and slacks. Typically, it's something like a suit, a clean tan suit, a clean blue suit, something like that. Okay, so this gives a bonus of 2 to our charisma. This is the start of our business suit. We're going to be using this business suit to get better prices when we're buying and selling. All right, so make sure you save something like that in your inventory. For now, I'm just going to dump everything that is not combat related. Anything that doesn't give us any damage resistance, we're going to dump into the workshop. So that goes. Keep that for now. All the dresses go, of course. This looks interesting. I'm going to keep that on board and experiment with it. Postman hat, dump that in. Dump that postman uniform in. Keep the Raider chest piece. Don't need 2 vault suits. Dump both wedding rings. We're going to sell those later. You going to sell the wedding rings? Yes, I'm going to sell the wedding rings. Yeah, they're worth a lot. Okay, so that's apparel. Over to aid. This is all the stuff that we can consume. General rule is, if it's prepared food with a lot of rads, sell it. That's it, that's all, because it's just not worth it. You can make your own food with no rads. Okay, so there's no point in eating food if it's going to give you radiation damage. Okay, so for example, this Blamco brand mac and cheese, 6 rads gives you 20 health, but you take 6 rads in the process, so forget it. We're just going to sell that. Okay, so all the prepared food we're going to sell. Any animal parts we can prepare or cook into food that will give us health with no rads. Okay, so this bloat fly meat gives us 5 health points, but it gives us 6 rads. But we can cook this up into something better that has no rads, so we're going to keep that. This is something we can use to make drugs, blood packs. Okay, so store that. Blood leaf, we can use that in the chemistry station. Store that. Bubblegum, any candy. This is good. Keep candy, okay, because candy has a very low rad count, typically a 1 rad count, and it gives you 10 health. So this is a way to just top off your health. If your health is just a little bit low and you just want to top it off without taking too many rads, take some bubble gum or some gumdrops or something like that. So I always keep these on board. Balfa we can use for some drug recipes, so we'll keep that. This is prepared food with rads, we're going to sell that. Same with this, sell that. Beer, keep all beer, because this is going to be part of your business suit. You're going to guzzle back a beer every time you sell stuff because it gives you a boost to your charisma. All right, so this is a good find. We found that in the root cellar. All right, that's always there. That Gwyneth Stout. Hub flower, a very important item. Okay, we got 14 of them. We went on a hub flower run earlier on. We're going to store all these and make some valuable drugs out of that. Here's some more prepared food. Store that. Medics, I don't really use that much because it just doesn't make that much difference, and there's never usually a lot of it around, so I'm going to sell that. Mentats, we're going to use that to make drugs. Mole rat meat, we're going to cook that. Cook this. This is prepared food that has no rats, so that's pretty valuable. This gives you health, but also has a pretty high rad count. It does also give you action points, but not much, so I'm going to sell that. I think this can be used in a recipe. I'm going to check into that. So keep that for now. I'm going to sell the pork and beans. Definitely keep the Psycho on board, okay? The most valuable thing you can have in higher difficulty settings. This gives you a damage boost to your weapons, 25% damage boost. Really, really valuable, okay? I use a lot of Psycho. You can get addicted to drugs, okay? You can get addicted to Psycho, all right? But the what happens when you get addicted to drugs is you get penalties, okay? You get penalties to your stats, and the penalties last until either A, you cure your addiction, or B, you take more of the same drug. All right, ain't that funny? Yeah. So if you take more of the same drug, you get rid of your addiction. But psycho addiction, the psycho addiction penalty is actually quite acceptable to a stealth sniper. The psycho addiction penalty is -1 to your strength, which will drop down your carry weight and drop down your melee damage. That doesn't make any difference to a stealth sniper. And number 2, it drops your damage resistance by 10. Once again, if you're playing in the rear with the gear and you're sniping everybody, having a lower damage resistance really doesn't make that much difference. So the psycho addiction penalty is actually quite acceptable to a stealth sniper, right? So I'm going to keep those on board. Store the purified water. We're going to make some drugs out of those. Rad X I don't really use much because I don't really care about reducing my radiation. Like this doesn't really help that much, really. That's the bottom line. Rad away. I like to keep 1 on board, but I want to cure my radiation or my rad damage right now. So we'll store 4 of these and keep 2. We'll take 1 right away. Rad roach meat. We're going to cook that up. Here's some more prepared food with a high rad count, so throw that in and sell it for later. This can be used in recipes. Store the silk beans. This can be cooked up, so we're going to cook that. Stim packs. Restore your health and also cure you from being crippled. All right, so these are very important to have a lot on board, and they don't weigh anything, so it doesn't matter how many you keep on board, but they can also be used to make some drug recipes. So keep in mind when you're taking stim packs, only use stim packs if you absolutely have to. Otherwise, use prepared food or cooked food to restore your health, right? And finally, sugar bombs, high rad count, prepared food with high rad count, store that, and store all these. Same with the wild mute fruit and the yum yum deviled eggs. There we go, that's our 8. Over to this stuff. None of this stuff weighs anything, so you can keep it on board. It kind of as a collectibles, screen. Over here to your junk, there's a button down here that you can press to immediately store all your junk. So that's what we're going to do. Store all that, get rid of that. Ammo, once again, weighs nothing. This is great, so you don't have to worry about how much ammo you keep on board. And finally, over to... Nope, that's it. We got our weight down to 24. So we're good. Now, let's get it to modding. Pipe pistols. I know it looks like a bunch of steampunk crap, but pipe guns are actually... They kick ass once you know how to mod them. I want to make 2 weapons. I want to make a kind of a makeshift sniper weapon, and I want to make a close combat weapon in case I get into some trouble, okay? So starting with, we're going to add the powerful receiver to both these weapons. This is going to cost us components. For example, but the powerful receiver, once again remember, the powerful receiver will give you a 50% damage bonus, alright? Now this is going to cost us per pipe gun 4 adhesive, 5 aluminum. Remember I told you aluminum is very valuable? That's why. 3 gears, 3 oil, and 3 screws. These are all uncommon items. Alright, so whenever you see something that contains any of these items, grab it. Alright, so let's put the powerful receiver on both these pipe weapons. Back it up here, back it up, back to the other pipe pistol, standard receiver, down to powerful receiver. There we go. So now we got 2 powerful pipe pistols. Now let's turn one into a makeshift sniper rifle by going down to standard sights and medium scope. I find medium scope is the best. Long scope is not really that great indoors. Okay, it's just the zoom is just too big. It won't help you indoors. And I find the short scope is not that great outdoors because the magnification isn't that great. Medium scope is just fine. And it will require, once again, gun nut rank 1, and we already have that conveniently enough. It will cost us some more components here, 2 adhesive, some aluminum, some glass, and some screws. Let's slap that on. There we go. We got our makeshift sniper rifle. Back that up and let's name this sucker. You can rename stuff. Okay, you can rename weapons and armor. So just press this button here, whatever it is, and let's rename this the 38 baby sniper. 38 because it uses 38 cal ammo. Right? There we go. Back up here to the powerful pipe pistol. This is going to be our in the trenches, in trouble, close combat weapon. Alright, so we got a powerful receiver on it. Now you can go 2 ways with this. You can go with either a powerful receiver, or you could turn it into a kind of submachine gun by putting on the automatic receiver. Okay, with the powerful receiver it's semi-automatic. With the automatic receiver it's like, you know, it's like an SMG. The only problem with that is that we don't have much ammo right now. But later on we're going to get lots and lots and lots of 38 cal ammo. That's probably the ammo that you're going to have most of in the game. So if you want to go automatic, yeah, that's a good way to go. I prefer to go semi-automatic to get higher damage. If you go automatic, you take a really big hit to your damage here, okay? See that? Damage is only 10. Whereas if you go powerful receiver, it's only semi-automatic, but you got almost double damage. So that's what I prefer, alright? Now, 2 other things I want to mod it with. The most important thing is a bayonet. So when something gets right up in my face, I can stab it, alright? So, let's go here to muzzle, and we see that we are short 2 adhesive to make a large bayonet. Alright, so we've run into some problems here. We don't have enough components to make the mods we want, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's get out of the station right now. Take a little look around, and looky here. We got all this stuff here that we can scrap. Most particularly the typewriter and the duct tape. So let's go into the workshop, point at the duct tape, alright, and booyah, we got some adhesive right there. Great. So let's scrap it. And this typewriter also has some valuable components here. Gears, screw, and springs. So let's scrap that. Scrap this. This thing here, the garage diagnostic chart, we don't need this. It looks important, but it's completely useless. And we can get a lot of valuable components out of this. Whenever you see broken light bulbs, that can be broken down, or rather you can salvage copper out of that. Okay, so if you ever see, like, you know, like a lamppost or something, scrap it immediately, because it'll give you valuable broken light bulbs. Broken light bulbs are valuable because it'll give you copper. It also gives you oil. Alright, so let's scrap that, and scrap this, and scrap this makeshift battery. Alright, so a couple things under there that are pretty valuable. Done and done. Let's get out of here. Let's go back to the weapons workbench and see what we can do. There we go. So we now have enough adhesive to make our large bayonet. So let's slap that sucker on. Here we go. So now we have a bayoneted powerful pipe pistol. And we're running low on components to mod other stuff. The next thing I would suggest for this kind of weapon is to put on something that'll increase the range. Okay, right now we have a stub barrel on it. Something like a long barrel. Okay, take a look at the range stat here. Okay, for the stub barrel it's only 65. Whereas if you go to the long barrel it's 185. Long light barrel 185. I would recommend something that gives you something that really lowers the recoil and gives you long range. So like the long ported barrel, this is my choice, but we're a little short. We're 3 adhesives short, and I'll talk about adhesive in a minute. Yeah, I know this is turning into a long video. Yeah, it takes time to get ready. So that's my next goal, is to get enough adhesive together to get that. Okay, but for right now, this is a pretty good weapon, a bayoneted, semi-automatic pipe pistol with a powerful receiver. All right, and you could also put maybe something on it to give you better hip fire accuracy, but I don't really mess with this. Or you could put a marksman stock on it to make it into a rifle. This will give you better bayonet damage if you put this on, but we will worry about that later when we have the components to make it happen. So for now, we'll just leave it like that. Go back, let's rename the sucker. Let's call this the I3D Bloodletter. There you go, the IDD Bloodletter. IDD because it's for when you're in deep doo-doo. Yeah, this weapon is especially designed for when you've run out of action points and you can't use VATS, you can't run away, and you still got some enemies right up in your face, and they must die now. You're in deep doo-doo. So that's what this weapon is specially designed for. Right, so there's our weapons. Done and done. Now, let's make some drugs. It's getting kind of dark here. Let's sleep till morning. Done and done. Let's move the cooking station and the chem station over into this area, all right? And then we'll take it from there. Okay, and now typically I like to put my cooking station right here next to the power armor station. Spin that sucker around so the cinder blocks are in the front. That's what you sit on. And right about there, yeah, that'll work. Perfect. And typically I like to put my chem station right beside my bed so I can have a nice cup of coffee first thing in the morning, right? Right. Okay, so let's do some cooking and make some health regenerating items so that when we're out in the wasteland and we get dinged up, we can cure ourselves. Go to the cooking station, and here's all the things we can make. Beverages. Okay, Dirty Wastelander. You can see what these things do by looking at this list here. So when you make a Dirty Wastelander and you consume it, it gives you a bonus to your intelligence and your strength. Strike that. It makes you less intelligent, but it bumps up your strength. Okay, I rarely make this, and bumps up your charisma as well. Right here, this just gives you 40 hit points or rather health. Okay, this is the most important category here. Roast. This is where you cook all the animal parts that you collected. All right, so everything that's highlighted is something that we can make. So let's make all these things right now. Like the baked blowfly, and all these are going to be rad free. All right, so you can see there, this gives us 40 health, and this actually gives us some rad resistance. Okay, same with the crispy squirrel bits, gives us 35 health. Some of them have special properties. This gives us 30 health. Mole rat chunks, this gives us 50 health and bumps up our maximum action points by 5. Etc., etc. One thing that's really good to make when you start running into where are these here? Rad stags. These things here, these are like these double-headed deer-like creatures that you find frequently out in the wasteland. If you ever see one of those, gun it down right away, and you can make some grilled rad stag. And look what it does. Not only gives you a hell of a lot of health, but it also increases your carry weight by 25. For 1 hour. So this is great for when you're overloaded and you need more carry weight. Alright, so that's something to remember. Alright, so let's cook all these suckers up. And you also get XP for cooking these things, okay? So another reason to do that. And we're done. Soups. I don't have any of the ingredients to make any of these soups, but here's some more things you can cook up that will give you bonuses. You just scroll through that. And finally, the most important thing here, utility. Okay, at the cooking station, go to the utility section and you can make vegetable starch. Well, what does it do, Slack? It doesn't do anything, but it can be broken down to make 5 adhesive. Yeah, that's one of the most valuable components when you're modding weapons. So you can actually cook adhesive. And what's more, the items that you need to make vegetable starch can all be grown. You can grow corn, you can grow mute fruit, you can grow potato, and you can manufacture purified water. So you can actually farm adhesive, alright? One of the most valuable components when it comes to modding weapons and modding armor can be actually farmed, right? And I actually have a whole video dedicated to showing you exactly how to set up an adhesive farm. I've already done this. I'll put the link to the video description. I'll put a link to that in the video description rather, and you can check that out on how to make an adhesive farm. All right, so that's that. Let's get out of here. Now let's go make some drugs. Chemistry station. I'm not going to cover everything, just what I deem the most important, but here's all the drugs you can make to give you various bonuses. A lot of these are really valuable. The one I use most frequently and the one I find the most valuable is Psycho. I've mentioned this before. This gives you 25% damage boost. Now, there is a downside. You can get addicted to Psycho, all right? And I explained earlier, the penalties for Psycho addiction are acceptable to a stealth sniper, okay? So I'm not really worried about that. This also gives you a lot of XP when you create these. So let's see, we can create a lot, but I want to save at least 4 hub flour for this other drug called Great Mentats, which will give a big boost to our charisma, which will allow us to sell stuff for a much higher price and or buy stuff at half price. So let's say I want to save 4 hub flour for Great Mentats and use the rest of the hub flours to make Cycle. Let's see how many Cycle we can make. That's just perfect. Okay, so that's enough Cycle. And one more thing I should mention, I'm not going to go through all these, but some of these things they really kick butt. Sometimes I make Psycho buff. But the other drug that I make frequently, I find very extremely useful, is Jet. Alright, Jet slows time for 10 seconds. It requires a component that I don't have right now, but we're going to run into some of that very soon. Fertilizer and plastic. This is absolutely perfect for when you run out of VATS. Okay, you're taking on a lot of enemies and you're using up a lot of your action points in VATS, and you run out of VATS and you still got enemies coming at you and you're in dire straits. Slow time down. Take a Jet, slows time down, and you start doing headshots on that enemy that's bearing down on you and kill them off quickly. Okay, so I make a lot of Jet when I have the components to do so. Alright, so that's that. Down here to healing, I'll talk about grenades and other stuff in another video. I'm just going to talk about healing and cutting fluid for now. Healing, the only one I really make a lot is refreshing beverage, because this cures you of your addictions. Okay, you don't want to stay addicted forever, even though the penalties for Psycho addiction are acceptable. You don't want to stay addicted forever, and this cures you of your addiction and takes away all your rad. So this is a pretty good thing to make and have one of on you at all times, to kind of like just set everything back to 0 and make a fresh start. Okay, so that's one thing I make. There's plenty of stim packs out in the Wasteland, so I don't usually make any of those, and that's that. Finally, down here to utility. Cutting fluid. Oil is another rare item that you use frequently when modding, and this cutting fluid will break down into oil, so you can actually manufacture oil if you're in a bind. Alright, now I find the ingredient or the component that I'm always running short of is bone. So if you ever see bone out there in the Wasteland, any kind of bones, and you're wondering what the hell can I use this for, that's what you can use it for, to make oil. Alright, so don't scoff at those bones. Collect those bones. Alright? So that is that. We're out of here. We are pretty much ready. There's just one more thing to do, and that is to favorite items. Actually, I want to take some rad away and get rid of my rad my rad damage once and for all. Down here, take that rad away. Back out. Let's sleep for an hour. Actually, let's sleep till the next morning because we're going to go on a nice little jaunt. Next video, we're going to get into some combat and start pushing down into the wasteland. Okay, it should be bright and early in the morning. Indeed it is. Take a look at our stat. We have full health, we have no rad damage, and all that remains is to just favorite some items so that we can quickly access them while we're out taking care of business. So, favorites, press the button that is attached to favorite. For me is Q, and you can favorite items. I don't know how this works on the console version. Somebody will have to explain that. But these are all hotkeys on the PC version. For example, whenever you press the 3 button, that will equip whatever thing that is, or consume whatever that thing that is. So I always like to keep my close combat weapon on 3. So let's put. Wait a minute, that's the wrong one. Let's put the i3D Bloodlighter on 3. And I always like to put my sniper rifle on 4. This is not really a sniper rifle, but it'll do for now. Let's put that on 4. I always like to put Molotovs on 8. Let's go over to Consumables. Typically, I like to choose the food item that I have the most of and hotkey that. So grilled rad roach gives us 30 HP. That's perfect. Put that at 1. Very easy to remember. 1 health. Okay, priority number 1. Psycho. I use a lot of cycles, so I'm going to favorite that. I always put Psycho on 7. And finally, that's about it. Yep, that's about it. Let me just double check here. Molotov, Psycho. Yep, we're ready to rock and roll. We are ready, Freddy. Alright, so that's it. Coming up next, we're going to make our way down south into the wasteland and hit up the Red Rocket truck stop. Lots of stuff to take care of there. Lots of enemies, and going to meet a new companion and all kinds of stuff. All kinds of fun stuff. Coming up next video. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. See you next video.